to also provide census information to DSS staff, and to mention the importance of the census during many conversations with family and agency partners. That concludes my presentation. I will entertain any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Holly. Are there any questions or comments for Ms. Holly concerning this report? It's a very thorough report. I see some recommendations on page 7 that you recommendations for the Board of County Commissioners. And
Yes.
we will review those as we move forward. And also some changes in laws or policy that will enhance child protection. I see that. And we had a discussion on Zoom last week with all the commissioners when we were attending the goal setting for the state. So we will take a look at those.
All right. Thank you much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have citizens' comments. You have the sign-in sheet.
Madam Chairman, I don't have any questions for Ms. Holly, but just like to mention that because of COVID-19 and I'm sure that the reason our domestic violence has gone up a great deal, and the sheriff, I saw the sheriff here, I thought a little bit ago, but our domestic violence calls have
Melissa.
increased tremendously, and they've been more and more aggravated. So probably being at home more. I don't know if Sheriff would like to comment on that or not. Domestic violence, sir.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Holly? Okay.
If a child has known or shares with someone that their caregiver had been in some physical confrontation, and while they were home, if they tell that to someone else, and it's reported to our department, we investigate those.
Thank you for that update.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks, Sheriff.
Thank you, Commissioner Freeman. Now we'll enter into citizen comments. I have the sign-up sheet here. I believe one person intended to sign up for the public hearing, so we will hold that one. But I do have Earl Roundtree. Mr. Roundtree, come up to the podium and state your name and your voting precinct, please. You have 5 minutes, and we will let you know when your 5 minutes.
Honored to see you, sir.
I missed your whole thing. I know you missed, this ain't part of my 5 minutes. Wait, I missed your whole thing as chairman. Did you miss me?
I did
I'm
miss
sure
you, and
you
I don't miss chairmanship.
Okay. Well, what I got to say, I'm Earl Roundtree, and I'm from Sunbury, North Carolina. And few of you in here know me. I used to be a regular on this TV program. I had some health problems, and I tried to quit. I'm back tonight. I got a couple of things, and I'm going to be somewhat brief, Linda. Straightforward, but brief, and say what I got to say. The two things I'm here to talk about is water bill and these, I think y'all all know what I'm talking about, these fees that these people are being charged across the county. I feel sure y'all all are very familiar with that, so there's no need for me to take up any time on that, but that's why I'm here, because I heard so many. I'm not a commissioner, I'm nothing. And I stayed on the phone and computer yesterday all day, and again today, people calling me up to complain. But unfortunately, these people that were complaining didn't show up tonight, Ray, so I don't have to spend much time. we've got to do something about these late fees. It wasn't the customer's fault. I think everyone up here, y'all are educated and everyone's got common sense. And so it was a mix-up in the whole system. And it's not the customer's fault. It's not the county's fault, probably. It's just something that happened, Jack. And these people don't need to be having to pay late fees. I think that'll be discussed later in the agenda, but that's my opinion and the opinion of several thousand more people in the county. I do want to say one thing about this when y'all are discussing it. These late fees, the way I remember, Linda, when we redid this years ago, that if you were late a lot of times, you got on the list, so to speak. They'd give you a break the first time. And, but anyway, these late fees are gonna show up on these people's records, and they really weren't late. It wasn't their fault, but their records are gonna show up. You understand what I'm saying, don't you, Jack? So when y'all go to discuss this tonight, think about this. And the next thing that I hear all the time, and I know y'all are bound to hear it, why would I hear it and you not, is, well, why are these things going to Philadelphia and getting lost anyway? And the people in the county, I understand the business from the fact that it's probably easier, it may be cheaper probably when they did it, because this is where a lot of things are done. But 40 years ago, NC State wrote a program for the farmers. 40 years ago, I had a PC. All of my records are on there, and I could print labels out. I could do all kinds of things 40 years ago. Don't try to tell me there are not computer programs out here today that would allow to put Jack's name on the list for water, take Ray's off, take how much water you use, and print these things out. And the people would say, well, look, don't we need to hire somebody in the county to do it? Now, that's the decision is up to you, but that is something that I think we need to look at. I know y'all need to look at that. The other thing is that sometimes I don't think I'm gonna just use a quick example, then I'm gonna shut up. Man in Sunbury, I got his name down here, but I'm gonna block it out. Had a bill at the end of the year. He said he had a $400-some-thousand bill, and he mailed it in. And it got lost in the mail, I guess, like all the rest of them. And it was late. But he said the interesting thing was when the company got the bill, they called him up and thanked him for the $400-some-thousand. He said the thing is that the Gates County Water Department didn't get their money, and they threatened to turn his water off. He said, now, there's something wrong with this picture. But anyway, that happened. So when you get ready to turn the water off, and my closing statement is, first of all, you can educate people, you can send them to college, you can give them doctorate degrees, but you can't give people common sense. I think all of y'all have got common sense, along with some education. So I'd like to see some common sense in this water thing about these fees being done away with tonight. And other than that, the only other thing I have to say is that I wanted to say this for a long time. I don't know how this is. CenturyLink, I got a bundle. My Dish Network and all comes with CenturyLink. My bill's like $217 a month. Well, last year, I got a bill for over $600. Woo! Woke me up. So I look back, and all my bills I pay online through the bank. I look back, and Earl hadn't paid them. I never got them, I don't think. I never paid them. But you know, I went for 3 months on CenturyLink, $600+, and I never did get a dirty, nasty letter from them. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Roundtree. Ms. County Manager, do we have any comments to be read? Anybody send?
I do have one to be read.
Okay.
Dear Gates County Commissioners, the issues with the Gates County Water Department billing have been going on for many years. My primary concern is the length of time between the arrival of the bill and the due date. No other utility that I have experience with has less than 21 days between the billing date and the due date. This month, for example, my bill was received in the mail after the close of business on January the 8th, 2021. So any bank bill pay would not be processed until Monday, January the 11th. BB&T and some other banks require 5 business days between the processing date and the delivery date if a paper check is being mailed. So the earliest delivery date available would be January 19th for a paper check. And heaven forbid someone was gone for the weekend, the bill arrived and couldn't pay the bill until several days later. It is ridiculous. For reference, here are some other local utility billing timelines. Dominion, bill dated January the 4th, due February the 1st, 4 weeks from bill date. Hampton Roads Utility Billing Service, bill date January the 7th, due date January 28th, 3 weeks from bill date. Virginia Natural Gas, bill date December 31st, due date January 26th, 3.5 weeks after bill date. Spectrum, bill date December 22nd, due date January 9th, 18 days after bill date, but their amount does not fluctuate, and the bill can be auto-paid with a credit card with no additional fees. Also, don't think they charge a late fee unless not received before the 9th, next billing date. CenturyLink, bill date December 28th, due date January 19th, 3 weeks after bill date. Verizon, bill date January 12th, due date February 4th, over 3 weeks from bill date. Note, this one allows an auto pay from a credit card on the 5th of every month, even though that is just after the due date. I have the above bills in hand if you need proof of what I state. I wouldn't have much issue with the bill continuing to state a due date of the 16th if we were given 10 days grace period and late fees were not added until the 26th. We have no proof of whether or not the bills are being mailed in a timely manner after the billing date, as there are no longer any postmarks imprinted on them by the United States Postal Service. The bill date of this month's bill says January 1, but I will guarantee you that no one was in the office processing them on that date, and I would be willing to bet that they were not touched until the 4th at the earliest, and likely not in the hands of the United States Postal Service until the 5th, just 11 days from the due date when late fees would be added. And for some reason, my understanding is they are being mailed from 3 states away, so that delivery time is much longer than if they were being mailed from nearby. Secondly, the fact that a customer's history has no bearing on forgiveness of late fees or decisions to cut off service in another bad practice. A customer who generally consistently pays their bill on time should be allowed a little latitude if they happen to miss a payment 1 month. There could be a multitude of reasons, some of which could be of no fault of the customers. Third, several of those above, including the water, sewage, and Suffolk, allow the bills to be paid without fee by credit card, and also allow it to be set up to auto-pay via credit card without charging additional fees. People are nervous about having a bill with a varying amount taken directly from their checking account, not like it is the only amount on the same date every month. So they need the option to pay with a credit card to give them a cushion when the bill may be more than expected, especially if it's on auto-pay. We're glad to have a good source of water in the county, but if the county residents who own businesses ran their businesses the way the water department has been run, they would go out of business because all of our clients would go elsewhere, where they could get decent customer service and where billing practices were more reasonable. And in fact, some county residents have had such a problem with the Gates County Water Department that they have put down their own wells at considerable cost. A well-known Sunbury farmer comes to mind as an example. As our elected officials overseeing this municipal utility, it is your job to see that this utility is providing good service and a quality product to the county residents. I have hopes that the current board can do a better job of making this happen than the boards in the past have done. It is my hope that the many citizen complaints will not continue to fall on the deaf ears of our elected officials. Sincerely, Edward Ray Hobbs, Cora Peak.
Thank you, Ms. Hendricks. And thank all that submitted or voiced their citizens' comment. Now we're going to administrative reports, county manager's report.
On November 30th, Chris Hill, tax administrator, and I took the virtual plat review officers class. Lisa Cherry also participated as a refresher course. At the department head meeting on December the 8th, there were voiced concerns about the need for digital thermometers and tabletop shields. Billy Wynn was able to procure 4 digital thermometers, and the Board of Elections had tabletop shields that were made available to departments that felt the shields would aid in their safety measures. There have been many customer concerns regarding the length of time it takes for mail and water payments to reach Southern Bank's lockbox. There are no provisions in the customer service policy allowing for the removal of late fees and/or service fees due to the U.S. Postal Service. Would the board care to review the customer service policy and make a provision or provisions to cover special circumstances? The overseas small business grants have been completed and the full $20,000 was distributed to the recipients by December 30th. The 11 recipients were Lee Insurance, Kelly's Beauty Boutique, Studio 32, A.W. Brinkley's Hardware, Mo-Cuts Barbershop, Corpeat Country Restaurant, The Peddler Florist and Gifts, Julius Subs and More, Bagley's Preventive Maintenance, Hair by Angie, and Savage Patch Farms. I received an email from a citizen concerned about the condition of the piers at the Rays Beach Chowan River boating access. The citizen wanted to get volunteers to repair the piers. I contacted Gary Gardner, Chief Engineer with the NC Wildlife Resources Commission. He questioned local staff and they all had significant reservations about trying to develop and maintain the location. If the county is interested in developing an agreement to construct and maintain the area, it could be discussed with the Director's Office as a possibility. I have been asked if GITS is running their normal routes or if some of the employees have been furloughed. No county employees have been furloughed. There has been a reduction in trips and miles as shown in the GITS monthly report. Due to COVID-19, some county offices were briefly closed by staff, but staff was able to work from home, or telework is the proper phrase. No office has had to shut down completely or stop services. The personnel ordinance does not have a provision covering employees teleworking. Would the board care to draft a provision as we go forward with our day-to-day operations? Please keep in mind, each department needs to be reviewed on an individual basis because not all employees are able to telework. In conclusion, Christy Barham and I distributed the restaurant gift certificates from the commissioners. Staff members were most appreciative for the gift certificates and the 2 hours of additional petty leave. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam County Manager. Are there any questions or comments for the county manager?
I do have a couple, Madam Chair, if I may.
Okay.
One question about the OBC Small Business Grant. They were due by December 30th. We get them in December 29th, about midnight maybe. I got a phone call from somebody that you reached out to, and this person was very appreciative of the outreach so that they could get this money. And we used the whole $20,000.
Exactly.
I think, and Chris was on that committee.
Yes.
It was a bunch of late arrivals if from last couple of meetings. But it's good that we were able to get this money and give it to some local businesses. $2,000 was the max. And so we could have helped, well, 10 would have been the least, so we were able to help 11.
They were not all qualifying for the full 2,000, so we
So-
gave out every cent.
So that was a good thing. It's always good to give out, and I hate to say free money, because I got a buddy that says there's no such thing as free money, but I like free money.
Here, good work.
The other thing, if I may, Madam Chair, continue. The item under that about Rays Beach. Jack, you'll remember, everybody will remember, when you were sitting down at that end of the table, the gentleman came and spoke to us about Rays Beach and worked for, I think, Dominion, and reached out in an email. I don't know if you ever reached out to him. I remember you communicated with him after the public comments, but he reached out, and I reached out to the interim county manager about this. He said that, and I don't have the email printed out in front of me, but his company did volunteer projects or something. Monetary or labor was an option, so he was interested in refurbishing or redoing the Rays Beach Pier. That's where this came about. I don't know if it's something the board, I see what we got from Gary Gardner. I don't know if it would cost the county any money. If they would be willing to do something and he could get that process started and not cost the county money, I hate to turn away something more free money. I go using that same term. But I know it was, we were in this room when he spoke. I'm sure everybody remembers it, but if I would not be opposed to us having the county manager do more research, reaching out to that citizen and seeing what options are available, and if they have funding that is available, to go ahead and proceed with it without bringing it back to the board. And
Is Raised Beach, private property?
It's state property.
State property.
And I know it's been a while since I don't get to fish much, but I know the path has been an issue in the past, but I think this was more geared toward the pier. And, you know, I just hate to see, we got somebody in the company that might be willing to volunteer something. I say we have the county manager reach out to them.
Is there still a Raised Beach Association or Raised Beach Club?
I think that was disbanded.
Come to the front, please. Sheriff Campbell, come to the front. Don't guard the door. People need to see you on YouTube. Come on, get to the podium. Get to the podium.
I'm Ray Campbell, and I'm the sheriff. But I grew up at Raised Beach, and I grew up with the fishing club at Raised Beach. But when they turn it over and unlock the gate, that's when bad things happen. Everything down there has been destroyed. The building has been burnt to the ground. The pier has been ripped up. You can do whatever you want to Raised Beach. New pier, new boat ramp, whatever you want. If you don't lock a gate down there and keep the trouble out, it's going to be destroyed. That's the bottom line. It was a trouble spot for years. We got calls down there continually for trouble down there at night. Until they burnt the building down, then there's nothing else there. And I would love to see it back like it was when I was a kid. You can't do it unless you lock that gate. It just won't happen. People will not take care of things. And it's a shame. It is a crying shame to what they have done to that place down there. I mean, rip the boards up out of the pier to burn.
You think the same thing's gonna happen at Gallatin, Sheriff?
Well, I don't know about guys. Wildlife is gonna have to patrol that, to keep that under control. I don't know if they're gonna have a pier down there or not. I don't know, I haven't been and looked at it. But Raised Beach is a problem spot. And I'm sorry, I would love to see it back like it was when I was a kid, because I spent hours there. But it has been totally destroyed. And the path, that's an ongoing thing. Every time the water rises in the river, the path's gonna flood. You got people driving in it, you got holes down there now, you know.
It's still a one-way,
Yes.
still a one-way path.
The path would have to be repaired before you could think about doing anything to the pier.
And the path, there's a spot or two in the path that is almost completely cut in two, you know, where water stays in it all the time.
But what I'm hearing is that there has to be a broader conversation and a path forward. We're not going to resolve this tonight, and patching it is not the way to go. So I would direct the county manager to look into possibility of funding with proposal coming forth from a team as far as who knows what about Raised Beach. I'm hearing the sheriff say that it's money going out the bed, or if we get one, if we don't lock it down. So this is a broader conversation we need to have ongoing. We have it on our radar now, and the county manager, please continue to look into that. And Commissioner Jones, since you brought it up, I appreciate that.
And if we have any other questions, I don't know, I know we let the sheriff speak. I don't know if the gentleman is here that spoke to us a couple meetings ago. He might have more information that they may or may not be able to do, and it might not be an option.
Well, I'm going to task you to work with the county manager and the other stakeholders to get something on paper so we can have a path forward if there is one. I do know there's funding coming down from the state as far as piers and wastewater and things like that with the new biennial budget. So we can take a look at that, but it's broader than what we can do tonight. It is, I thought so. Mm-hmm. Right. Okay, are you planning, come to the podium, Ms. Cherry.
Stay a while, Lisa, when you get up there.
That's what you get for opening your mouth. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, it needs to be because there are some grants available.
Right.
For access grants through the CAMA.
Right.
Because we'll have to go through CAMA permits no matter what. The state would require that.
Right,
So
wetlands.
that's a big deal, but access grants are wonderful.
Well,
And because
I'm
that could help with the roads, the pier,
Well,
and
Ms.
really do it right.
Ms. Cherry, I'm going to put you on the team with the county manager and Commissioner Jones to take a look
We'll
at
set
it.
up a Zoom, we'll set up a Zoom, Lisa.
We'll take care of it. Yeah, we'll take care of it.
Thank you for all your
We'll take
comments
care
and
of
all
it.
your attention
But
to
yeah,
this detail.
there's more to it. Is somebody here with the state, did you say, or is it
No,
somebody from
the
Dominion?
citizen that requested
Okay,
a few months
gotcha.
ago.
Okay,
Right.
understood. But
Okay.
yeah, it's going on the next couple of days, so there should be some answers with DCM.
Right.
So,
Okay.
that's fine.
Thank you
Thank
for
you,
your
Lisa.
input.
Don't get too comfortable.
Madam Chair,
Yes, yes, sir.
I appreciate the sheriff giving us a real clear picture, rather than letting us sit up here and chase this rabbit around for too long. So appreciate that, Mr. Chair. But I think we should look further and deeper. And if it's something we need to abandon, we abandon it. If it's something that would be good for the county, then we go forward.
That's what I want to happen from this little ad hoc selection of Ms. Cherry, Commissioner Jones, and the county manager, to look at all avenues, but if it's not worth it, then we don't need to pursue it. We have enough to pursue. Also, county manager, you mentioned that the personnel ordinance does not have a provision covering employees working from home. I think we need to draft something and submit it to the board. We're going to run into this again, and we might as well address it now as far as protocol, is who works where and when, as far as teleworking, and how we backfill that. We know that COVID has done a lot of things, and it's shown us where we are inefficient and ineffective. So that's another directed from the board.
Madam Chair, to add on to that, we don't have a policy ordinance in place.
No, we don't.
Go figure. In the meantime, with everything that's going on, and as you mentioned, the sicknesses and the numbers, could we grant the county manager authority to instruct department heads if they have somebody that needs to work from home? If it's a job that can't, like, all jobs can't work from home, but if they have an employee that has a reasonable issue with working from home,
Well,
in the meantime, before we get, I mean,
Right.
it might be 9 months
No, no.
before we get ordinance.
I think the county manager, as supervisor of all staff, has that authority already for the day-to-day. So she can go and do whatever she needs to do with the directors, department by department, because all departments are not the same. So I think she already has that authority as the supervisor of county staff to make those determinations along with the director or the supervisor over that department. And that's what we want to happen while we're drafting something put in place, so that when we have another emergency or whatever may happen, as far as people have to work from home, we have it in policy. Thank you for bringing that up.
And we're okay with that? Okay.
So we're acknowledging that.
Right.
Yeah.
She has that authority. And I encourage her to have a meeting with her direct reports and make that clear. Okay. Finance report, not Department of War.
I still had questions, Madam Chair. I'm just messing, I'm done.
Jonathan ain't got time for this. Ms. Outland, our finance director. I think we have something on our desk.
Yes, good evening. On your desk, it's the COVID funding update report. We received an extension for these funds. Originally, we had to have the items purchased and in place by December 30th of 2020. The U.S. Congress passed an extension to this. So we have until December 31st of 2021. We will have spent our money way before then. So in the report, I've given an update on what has been reported to the NC Pro office. We report to the state reports to the feds on our funding. So far, we have mostly reimbursed the general fund for salaries and benefits of dedicated employees. We do have some eligible expenses that we use to purchase with these funds. Most of those were purchases for sanitizing equipment, et cetera. We had $6,000 set aside for Town of Gatesville at their request. Currently, we have encumbered still, the school is still waiting for the Chromebooks to come in, but they did use their $80,000 that we had allocated for that purpose. We currently are we are purchasing the AV, the AV table that goes along with the AV equipment that we have in this room. So with what we have encumbered and what we have spent to date, we have used all of our COVID funds that were allocated through this round. I'm not sure if we'll have a second stimulus package that will come to us. So that's where we are with the COVID funds.
Any questions or comments from Ms. Outland?
And sales tax revenue, still rocking and rolling?
I will have that report for you guys at the next commissioners meeting. We were one of the departments that were short staffed for a little while in December. So we'll have all of that information prepared for you guys, which will be perfect timing for we're getting ready to be moving into the budget planning for fiscal year '22.
To go into budget time. go to
Yes.
budget.
Don't bring it to us unless it's good, Kim.
I believe it's good news.
Can you give us a short snippet about the audit?
Yes. I have just turned in today, I have received the final draft that has been through the process with our auditors. I went over the numbers. I have sent it back to the audit team. I found a couple of numbers that need to be adjusted, and we will have our audit on time to the LGC this year.
Thank you.
Terrific.
Yes, that's good
Thank you.
news.
Good to hear. And good work last year to lead up to this.
Thank you.
Thank you for all your diligence in this, especially the COVID money. I know it was a moving target. They kept changing the rules, so we
Yes.
thank you for your due diligence, you and your staff.
Thank
Of
you.
keeping up with that. Thank you.
Thank-
Tax report?
Good evening, Happy New Year. Take this off. You should all have your tax collector's report for December of 2020. As you'll notice, we had another busy month in the tax department. We collected just over $2.25 million for the month of December. That's a good month for us. I'd like to point out also that these numbers are through the 31st of December, of course, which was a Thursday. New Year's Day was on Friday, which our offices were closed. And the last day to pay your tax bill without penalties or interest was that Tuesday. Monday and Tuesday, January 4th and 5th, we collected an additional $1.3 million in those 2 days. So that should make up for the little bit of deficit we've got in our percentage from, we're down about 2% from last year at this time. But I think it's because of that holiday and weekend and how that all fell, and everybody kind of waiting until the last minute to pay that tax bill. So I'm hoping by the end of this month, those numbers will kind of get matched back up. Also, we have stopped any forced collections, foreclosures, any new forced collections, foreclosures, wage garnishments since February. So that might have something to do with the collection rate also, but I don't think that's a big concern for us. One final thing I looked at this morning, as we've all known with the COVID, there's been a lot of influx into the rural counties with people wanting to get out of the cities and move to the country. I looked at our qualified sales for the year of 2020, and when I say qualified sale, we count that as anything that's an arm's length transaction. It's not a foreclosure, it's not a gift, it's an actual qualified sale. In 2019, we had 132 qualified sales in Gates County. In 2020, we had 197. So that was an increase of 150%, which is good for the tax base.
And those values, people are making a lot of money on selling their homes right now.
Yes, sir.
Whole lots of money.
Yes, sir. So that was, I think that'll be good when we see, Kim talks about the budget for next year. We should have a little bit more money in our coffers when it comes to that.
Oh, it's good to hear.
Yes, it is.
Any other questions from Mr. Hill?
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Chris.
Have a good night.
Thank you, Chris.
I appreciate you filling me in on some of that early.
County Manager, do we have any more departmental reports?
I do.
Okay.
On December 17th, late fees, 10% were charged to 1,446 accounts for a total of $3,800 $3,088.71. On December 22nd, robocalls were sent to 643 accounts as a courtesy, reminding the customer that payment had not been received. There were 394 delivered calls. On December 29th, service fees, $40, was added to 435 delinquent accounts for a total of $17,400. As a courtesy, the county does not disconnect water services in December. The subject of customer complaints due to the U.S. Postal Service's delivery time will be addressed in the county manager's report. The collection window is still closed for walk-in payments. Signage is in place directing customers to place their payments in the drop box. Envelopes are on a table at the collections door for the customer's convenience. Staff continues to assist customers when needed at the collections door. No customer is denied service.
Any questions for the county manager? Or comments?
Okay.
Thank you. Articles of interest, I believe Commissioner Hopper.
Yes, I had a couple of things. Today I was at the RTAC. We had a Zoom meeting and a couple of things of highway projects here in the county. They are going to open the bids today for the resurfacing of US 13 from Tar Heel to the Virginia line. Now, just because they're opening bids doesn't mean they'll be starting next week to resurface, but hopefully we'll see something by the summer. Also, US Highway 158 is back on the grid from Sunbury through the swamp. It had been taken off there for a while because of the financial difficulties that DOT find themselves in, but it's back on the grid. And, you know, we've had public hearings about that at the fire department several years ago. So that's back in flavor. We also received this acknowledgement that from the PGC that they had applied for a grant for scrap tire disposal account fund. And we did receive $550 to help to offset the cost to the county for the scrap tires. So every little bit helps. And finally, the Albemarle Commission has hired a new economic developer grant writer to help to send to the counties information about various grants, but also potentials for people who are looking for places for business sites and other things. Her name is Sharon Smith, and I've talked to Chair Riddick that she maybe could come to our meeting next month. And introduce herself, and she will be sending proposals to the county managers of things that come across her desk, and she's actively seeking out grants as well as economic opportunities. And that's a big help for a county like ours.
Fantastic. I have an announcement that was given to me by EMS. I think you saw it in the paper today in the Daily Advance, and it went on email, but I was asked to read it during the Board of Commissioners meeting. Gates County continues to support Albemarle Regional Health Services in managing the rollout of COVID-19 vaccines. A vaccination clinic will be held Thursday for those that have pre-registered. Residents that are 65 and over, healthcare providers, or first responders can visit the Albemarle Regional Health Services website. This clinic will be for registered individuals only. We understand that everyone is not comfortable accessing the internet, so please reach out to friends, family, and neighbors to see if you can offer them support in the registration process. If you received your first COVID vaccination earlier this month, you must also visit the Albemarle Regional Health Services website to register for the second dose that will be scheduled and administered soon. So this was in the Daily Advance. It went out on email to all the county staff, I believe, or directors and across the region. So, and I want to take this opportunity before we move on to thank all of those that are working so diligently in providing those clinics and those helping with registration, the sheriff department down there helping out with traffic, EMS paramedics, county staff, everyone that has really rolled up their sleeve, no pun intended, about the shot, to make sure that residents who desire to be vaccinated get the vaccination. So please be aware of that. Watch your email, watch the paper, as things are so fluid, they're changing as they try to get everyone vaccinated. I believe we have about over 600 registered for tomorrow, and that's going to be a challenge. So just be patient. When you call the health department, the phone is going to ring. You know, they don't have a phone bank down there, so don't get upset. Just keep calling or be patient with this process. We are not driving this car. We're just riding in it, but we have to improvise to make sure that our citizens get the vaccination when it's their turn. Okay?
Madam Chair, I'd like to add something to that. I reached out to Billy Wynn for 2 citizens that called me about the process. And Billy reached out to help me, but in the meantime, he made me very aware that even though, you know, we have our EMS department, they can only take steps that Albemarle Regional says, do this. Albemarle Regional also might say, don't do this. So they're, even though our people are working tirelessly and trying to get, you know, the program running, they can only move as fast as is approved by Albemarle Regional Health Services.
That's correct.
One of the people did not meet the age category, but had what I believed were 4 contributing factors, one being caring for a mother that was in her 90s, and that should have moved the person to the top. What Billy helped me with was he gave me the link that you can see on our county website. And the main thing is, if you think you have an exception, is to go and ask for an appointment to get vaccinated. And from there, you can talk about your exceptions. So Billy was very helpful in that, and I think the person was understood the situation. They're doing a good job.
They're doing a good job. Let's just be patient, you know, as we move through this process, and especially help those who do not have access to technology or laptop or don't know how to navigate the internet. I've been registering people for 2 weeks. I've got a list of senior citizens that they got my name from somewhere. And I said, okay, tell other people to call me. And so I got a list that I go back and I fill it out for them and try to get them. So just help them. Just help. Let's be kind.
And there's plenty of computers at the library.
It's plenty, but some don't know how to use them. So
Somebody will help.
one lady she didn't know how to save the doc. Anyway, let's not go down a bunny trail. Okay. Next thing we have on the agenda is the county calendar. We've all looked at that, I believe, and I don't have any comments about it. Do any of the commissioners have any comments about the county calendar? Okay. Hearing none, we're going to proceed with public hearings. Do I have the sign-up sheets? Madam Clerk, I'm going to read this. This is a public hearing for 202010-MA-01 Briarwood Forest Products. We will hear a presentation from staff and the applicant. Any citizen speaking will be allowed up to 5 minutes for their comments, and an additional 5 minutes for rebuttal will be given to the applicant and citizens. Do I have a motion to enter into public hearing?
So move.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second. Approval by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Good evening again.
We have Ms. Lisa Cherry. State your name and your
My name is Lisa
position-
Cherry.
position.
I'm County Planner,
Okay.
and we are here for the first public hearing for Briarwood, which is application number 202010-MA-01 for Briarwood Forest Products Incorporated. The request is to amend the zoning on a plus or minus 24.25 acre parcel identified as parcel number 10-03036, located in the Merchants Commerce Center, being south of Parker Road, east and adjacent to Sony Lane, north of Highway 158, west of Medical Center Road, located in the Gatesville Township. The property is currently zoned RMF-72, which is residential multifamily. The request is to rezone the parcel to A1 agricultural. And the planning board heard this. They had actually they had to continue it from the October meeting and heard it at the November 17th meeting, and they recommended to deny this proposal unanimously, 7-0. So we're here tonight to have the Board of Commissioners consider this.
Thank you. Applicant, presentation?
Yeah, I'm here tonight to ask for that property to be rezoned. I think we started the process about a year ago. Submitted a brief outline of what I was trying to accomplish out there on the site, and met with Lisa several times and worked through the process. And at the time, it was decided that A1 was the best classification for 10-plus acre farmettes. That's the vision for that, the back of that site. So with that in mind, that was the A1 classification that was asked for. Here tonight to ask for that to be approved.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
We will have now public comments from Edward Roundtree from Hallsville. If you notice, I was remiss to show you, if you notice the screen, it has a timer. I said, if you notice the screen, it has a timer. I forgot to
Okay.
point that out. 5 minutes.
I don't plan on talking that
Can you see
long.
that far, Eddie?
Valley.
I'll hold up if you need it.
My name's Edward Roundtree. I'm from the Hallsville area. I remember, I didn't come to the commissioners meeting, but I remember when the Commerce Park was being created. A lot of stuff got rezoned, there was a lot of controversy, but, as I didn't realize the tax department said, you listen to houses that was generated, sales that was generated, there's room for single-family homes, instead of putting one on 10 acres. You know, it makes more sense to put them in one place than it does put one down the road here. You see them going down the roads, taking up land. Something like Whitehurst development, that looked nice, you know. There's no reason, and they want it developed in. The county has put in a lot of infrastructure out there. I know more has to be put. So I agree that it needs to be kept as is. I don't think it needs to be rezoned to agriculture.
Thank you. Ms. Rosetta Small from thank you, just said thank you. Ms. Rosetta Small from
Good evening, everyone. I'm in support of the rezoning of this land to permit an Ag 1 zoning district. The Ag 1 zoning will facilitate farmland. We are a rural community, a rural area, and it will facilitate that. And Ag 1 zoning will also facilitate a multifamily, which is what it currently is. But a single-family dwelling can also be on the land as well, under the zoning of an Ag 1. There are people in this community who had previously embarked on constructing a multi-family dwelling. It is costly, perhaps $24 million, and could not be afforded. And so the land was just being dormant. So I recommend the rezoning of the land, and I'm in support of the rezoning to Ag 1.
My name is Benny Small. I've been a resident in this county for 40-plus years. Many of you know me here on the board. I'm a licensed state plumber for the North Carolina state. I also have installed septic tanks 40-plus years. I ask that this be rezoned, if not Ag 1, to residential, so single homes can be put on there. My wife and I are very interested in this property to put our home. We're not in it to put a pig farm on it or anything of that nature, just that it could request to put a home there. I'm well aware of all the stipulations that has acquired over the years in this county. They do not manufacture land, and when land comes up, I believe it should be, you know, up to the people. Because if you go back to 1820, when Andrew Jackson was kicking the Indians out of their Oklahoma and North Carolina, or wherever it may be, it's called the Trail of Tears. They had no home. So, and plus, when slavery was abolished, there were things considered as 40 acres and a mule. So people need a place to stay. I don't believe that it should just be, you know, all-inclusive to people that may oppose it for generous reasons. You know, however, I think it should be kept held objectively that, you know, people have a right to have a piece of land. Like I said, this is not for my sake necessarily, and I'm not disagreeing with my wife for Ag 1, but residential, so people can build their dream home, you know. So that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Does the applicant have a rebuttal? Mr. Carey? Okay. I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
The motion and second to close the public hearing. All approved?
Aye.
Aye. Delayed reaction, and getting kind of rid of it here. Disapprove? Motion carried. Okay, board discussion.
Madam Chair, can the planner come back up if she wants to, if she would?
Ms. Cherry?
I told you not to get comfortable a while ago. Lisa, agriculture,
Yes.
can you, permitted uses?
Permitted uses, the planning board, this was something they considered very thoroughly. When you rezone based on North Carolina law, you have to consider every use that is in that district. It has to be considered. So whatever is C1, which is what this is currently, well, this is RMF, I'm sorry. We have another one that's C1. RMF 72, which is multifamily up to 72 units. You know what's there. But when you ask it to rezone something, and the planning board, again, considered this thoroughly, you have to consider every use that's allowed in that district. And I brought that if you'd like to just briefly look at it. I did bring a few copies of that that was given to the planning board at the time. And they thought through that, and they asked the questions. You cannot put any conditions on rezonings by North Carolina law as well. So when you rezone something, you rezone it, either or. And you have to consider all those zonings and the things that are allowed in that district based on everything that is around that area. And that's all the neighbors, all the other things that are around that. You have to consider that. How would that affect them? How would that affect their property and, you know, within a reasonable nature? And when you look at that, you look at the zoning that's around there, the businesses that are there or not there, you know, but in this case, we know what's there. You know, they consider that, and that's the basis in which they denied that. So it was based on some principle in law, and they did consider that thoroughly.
And
Does that answer? Yes.
yes, if I may. This, just to make sure I'm on the same page or looking at it right, this looks like it's down Sony Lane past the library on the right.
Yes.
Is the one we're looking at right now.
Yes.
And it, okay.
That's it? Okay, any other questions or comments for Ms. Cherry?
Madam Chairman, I'd like to ask planner, does the board have any degree of allowing and putting restrictions into an area that is going to be developed?
Well, they cannot. Yeah, I mean, we did ask Mr. Carey, who owns Briarwood Forest. He did say he would put restrictions within the deed, but as a board, they cannot put any conditions on a rezoning whatsoever or ask him to do that. And, you know, he did talk about that. But once you rezone it, that's out of your hands. So they can't consider that.
So the board cannot?
No,
The Board
sir.
of Commissioners cannot?
No, sir. Like, a rezoning cannot be based on any conditions. You know, that's the special uses with the Board of Adjustment. That's, as an example, you can, all the conditions that they want. But that's understood with the Board of Adjustment. But that's the difference. It's, you know, you got one quasi judicial, one legislative, and that's what a rezoning is.
Madam Chair, can we, the planner said she had some handouts of permitted uses.
You have handouts?
Yes, I did bring.
I hate for those trees to go to waste.
I think I know them, but anyway.
I bought a copy from the land use law manual, about the no conditions on rezoning, if you wanted to see that. But it's the conditions.
Thank you for all your research on this. Any other questions for Ms. Cherry before she takes her seat? Are we ready to vote? Any more discussion? Any more discussion amongst the commissioners? Are we ready to vote? We got to have a motion.
Can we digest, can I digest this for a minute?
You have 1 minute.
45 seconds.
Put my clock back up there on that screen.
I'm waiting for the clock to start to begin.
I've got a clock.
You can stop the clock.
All right. Have any more questions? I want to be very thorough. If not, I need a motion to approve or disapprove the submission, the rezoning map for 202010-MA-01 Briarwood Forest Products. Does anyone have a motion to approve or disapprove?
Madam Chair.
Denied it?
Madam Chair, we have a recommendation from the Planning Board, and I move that we agree with their recommendation.
Okay, the motion is to agree with the planning board to deny 202010-MA-01 Briarwood Forest Products rezoning map amendment of parcel 10-03036 as it is consistent with the purposes and intent of the 2017 land use plan. All in favor?
You have a second? Madam
You have a second? Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Commissioner Hoffler. Ready to vote? All in favor to deny, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Aye. Okay, Commissioner Freeman was a no, 4-1. Motion is denied. Okay, we need to go into a public hearing for 202010-MA-02 Briarwood Forest Products Incorporated. We will hear a presentation from the staff and the applicant, and the citizen speaking will be allowed up to 5 minutes for their comments and an additional 5 minutes for rebuttal. I need a motion to enter into public hearing.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
The application 202010-MA-02 for Briarwood Forest Products, Inc. The request is to amend the zoning on a plus or minus 59.69 acre parcel identified as parcel number 10-03-035, located in the Merchants Commerce Center, being south of Parker Road, west of Sony Lane, north of Highway 158, east of Cotton Gin Road, located in the Gatesville Township. Property is currently zoned C1 Commercial. The request is to rezone the parcel to A1 Agricultural.
Applicant presentation. Thank you, Ms. Cherry.
This pretty much goes the like I said, this process has been going on for a year, and I did meet with Lisa multiple times to discuss what to ask for as far as rezoning on this property. And it was ultimately decided that A1 would be the most logical solution with the farmette, the ideas of a farmette instead of multi-houses on small, a more dense populated area. So, I guess with that in mind, that's why the A1 zoning was requested initially, based on the county's recommendation or guidance. So, there again, I'm asking for that to be approved for A1.
Thank you, Mr. Carey. Public comments by Edward Roundtree, Hallsville.
Yes, my name is Edward Roundtree from Hallsville. On this piece of property, it's actually a little bit different than the other piece they were trying to get rezoned, because this one does have commercial property around it. It has the credit union, this piece I'm thinking about, nursing home, library, a restaurant with another vacant building. And I do remember way back when they started, it was close to being another commercial building put there. I heard of a restaurant outside the county, would like to put a place in the county. They looked at the place beside the Chinese place, but they wouldn't rent the building. That makes sense. So I think there is room for commercial growth, and I think that's the place for it in the county. It's the center of the county. They have got it rezoned before to commercial, so I think it should stay commercial.
Thank you. Do you have any rebuttals? Okay, I entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. We're out of public hearing. Now we have board discussion. Would you like to hear from the planner, Mr. Cherry?
Lisa, I have a question. Surprise, surprise. If I may, Madam Chair.
Yes, you may.
This is the property directly connected to the library.
Yes.
That's my only question.
No.
That's the only question.
Unless you want me to ask more, I can come up with more.
No, that's fine, but yes.
Any other questions or prompting from Ms. Cherry? Ms. Cherry, you have anything to add?
No.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have one or two motions to make, either to approve, motion to approve said property rezoning map amendment, or to deny said property as recommended by Ms. Cherry. Do I have a motion? Up or down?
Madam Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I make a motion that we approve the decision by the planning board to deny the rezoning.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to deny 2020-MA-02 Briarwood Forest Products rezoning map amendment of parcel 10-03035 as it is consistent with the purposes and intent of the 2017 land use plan. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
4-1, Commissioner Freeman opposed. Motion carries. This is a public hearing for 202011-MA1, Glendon Forest Equity LLC. We will hear a presentation from staff and the applicant. Any citizen speaking will be allowed up to 5 minutes for their comments, and an additional 5 minutes for rebuttal will be given to the applicant and citizens. We need a motion to enter into public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly second, motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're now in public hearing. Ms. Cherry.
Yes, this is for application 202011-MA-01, Glandon Force Equity LLC. The request to amend the zoning on a portion, 1.93 acre of an plus or minus 11 acre parcel identified as parcel 05-01311, tract 6, located in the Holly Grove Township in the community of Core Peak. The parcel is north of Knight Lane, south of Adams Swamp Road, west and adjacent to North Carolina 32, east of Middle Swamp Road. The request is to rezone this portion of property currently zoned R1 residential to C1 commercial for the purpose of commercial retail sales.
Thank you. Applicant presentation.
Good evening. My name is George Venters, 3825 Barrett Drive in Raleigh. Our intention here is to rezone this property to allow for new business growth into Core Peak. Currently, residents need to drive 7-8 miles to Sunbury, 10 to 15 miles to Whaleyville or Suffolk to get full-service convenient items. We believe that rezoning this property to allow such a business would increase the tax base, add employment opportunities, and just increase overall economic activity in town. When we were searching for a site, we're very aware of the traffic on NC 32 as it travels to and from Virginia. We specifically chose this site because it has the longest site distances in town. We specifically chose the north side of this property because the south side of the property had a curve a few hundred feet down to the south. We have talked extensively with NCDOT, have an approved road improvement design that will add 700 linear feet of road improvements to NC 32, which will include acceleration, deceleration lanes, storage, and a left turn lane to avoid any rear-end crashes. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You have public comments? I think you signed up on the public comments, so you already did that. Yes, Ms. Cherry.
I didn't call you up there this time, Lisa.
The planning board approved unanimously to approve this. They did a lot of good work here, I think. They are providing some turn lanes, left turn lane and a right turn lane taper, I believe. Is that right, Mr. Ventures? Is that right? Okay. So they reviewed that thoroughly as well. So I wanted to add that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I make a motion, we come out of public hearing.
Second.
All in favor of coming out of public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Hearing none, we're out of public hearing. Board discussion.
Madam Chair, I'd like to welcome George back with us tonight. It's good to see you. Come back anytime. With that being said, I'd like to make a motion, Madam Chair. Unless you have,
Commissioner, if I may.
go ahead, Jack.
And we can do it after the motion, maybe in discussion, but I do have a question,
Go
Mr.
ahead.
Venters.
Mr. Venters, will you come up to the podium, please?
I'm so sorry, I didn't.
Oh,
that's
I didn't
okay.
cut you off.
George, it is good to see you back with us, and I appreciate your comments talking about the curve and safety and all of that, and glad to hear about the lanes there. That's awesome. The last time that this opportunity came about, I asked some questions of somebody about the difference in the store frontage. When you get to Whaleyville, you see a more upscale store frontage, and I asked the question about what dictates one store frontage versus another. And I remember one part of it, there might have been more parts to it, but what I heard was the anticipated revenue came from it dictated what type of store, and I certainly know square, that would dictate the square footage. What I was concerned about was the overall look. Can you comment on that?
Typically, the difference in the design is dictated by local UDOs, and if a municipality has specific design guidelines. So we typically design to the approved design guidelines or requirements of the area. And that's pretty much it.
Okay. I asked a question quite a few years ago when somebody was proposing this, and the lady, she was very candid. She said, "We're going to do as little as we possibly can," and it's not the company you're talking about.
Right.
But it was a store. We're going to do as little as we possibly can, and that stuck with me. The UDO, if you'll help us with that acronym.
Unified Development Ordinance. Like if
If the county has guidelines on
Correct.
development of a particular category of businesses, treating them all the same, commissioners, we can, or our planning board can dictate that you will have that the sediment pond will be at the back of the property, for example. You know, the county, the state regulates, there will be a fence around, it'll have a certain amount, it'll be this deep, this wide, this long. But we can have a set of requirements that says we want all windows across the front of the store, or some windows, or no windows. We can, we already have rules about number of parking spaces and things like that. But this is something that, when I did a little research on this, it's one of these cat's out of the bag kind of things. Once the cat's out of the bag, it's, you don't have any control, just like what we talked about in the previous hearing. But anyway, if we can have a store that has a stepped up front, you're familiar with the one in Wayland?
I am.
Okay. Something like that is what's bringing the previous conversation and the difference in the way that store looks and maybe some other stores. So, Lisa, you're hearing my comments there. We're going to be taking a vote here in just a minute. And if that vote turns out in your favor, what are we going to see?
The store would have a full brick front, and then the prototype are architectural metal panels down the side and back.
Okay.
Is it like one up in, at Crossroads in Chilon County?
This one specifically will look like, let's see, the one, I'm trying to think we've done a couple in Elizabeth City, like the one on Airing House, and that's a corner entry. There's the one on North Bridge Street. There's 4 prototypes. And we internally as a company have always used a little bit better building materials than the prototype. The prototype is a split-face block. It's not the most attractive building in the world. Since we started developing for them 10, 12, 15 years ago, we internally chose to use North Carolina red brick, a different type of metal panel than what they would accept, just because kind of more company pride than anything, to kind of make us look different, I guess, than some of the other developers in the state.
Right.
Now, we have built them to look like beach houses. If the one in Moyock, they have a very, very stringent building design guidelines. In Moyock,
Or if you have one in downtown Edenton.
that's a good example. We did not build that one, but that's a good example. Edenton has very strict building design guidelines, and so I'm assuming Whaleyville does too. Or they probably have like a downtown core. Yeah, something like that.
Well, so to get back to the meat of my question, and I know you know what it is.
Yeah.
don't know how the vote's gonna go. But my concern is, if you're successful tonight in the vote, are we too late in the design guidelines for this building?
Well, there are no design guidelines.
Well, so we're, right, there's none out there that exists. So commissioners, if you hear what I'm saying, we don't have anything to help him. He wants to build a great building. He wants it to look good. And, but we have no, it's, again, it's the cat out of the bag thing. Now, it would take us a while to come up with any design guidelines.
But the buildings that they have built have looked nice, that I have seen that you have built.
Well, my comment comes real close to home. The lady sitting on the passenger seat of my vehicle says, why can't we have one like that in Whaleville?
We hear that a lot. I mean, I'm not going to deny that.
Right.
We're tasked with bringing a project within budget, adhering to all local guidelines, all local rules. If there are design guidelines, then we have to present that to them and say, well, this is what it's going to cost. And it's a 50-50 shot.
Right.
We've had plenty of them in smaller areas where we say, well, it's going to cost an extra $125,000 to build this building because they want X, Y, and Z. And they say, well, we're just going to move on to the next town. I'm certainly not saying that's what would happen here.
Sure. But you're
that is
saying
a
that,
risk.
did you say that there's basically 3 plans?
When I say there's the prototypes are 70 by 130, 130 by 70, and then there's a corner entry, which is like the one we built down at Rocky Hog.
Okay.
So the one we built in Tyner is the 130. It really just depends on how does the land lay out. They prefer the narrower front, deeper building. It's just a fixturing.
And that's what they're suggesting here.
That's what fits on this site. I've actually got the site plan, but that's what fits on this one. We built them. We built Rocky Hawk, Tyner, Midway, Camden, Moyock, Harbinger.
You haven't built one in Gates County?
No, we tried.
Okay.
I agree.
Yeah, okay. All right, so, so there it is.
Madam Chairman, I would like to address Mr. Venters as well.
Okay.
Mr. Venters, I want to tell you, appreciate you being back. We're glad to see you, and glad to see things beginning to work.
Thank you.
Sorry that it didn't happen.
Any other questions for Mr. Venters? Okay, thank you. Okay,
Thank you.
we've had a robust discussion.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
can I make a motion?
You sure may.
You done, you good,
Oh,
Jack?
yeah.
You sure? Your time's up. Been up. Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the rezoning of 202011-MA-01 as presented.
Motion?
Who's second?
Yes. Or somebody will.
Commissioner,
Somebody down here is.
Commissioner Freeman is a
Amen.
second. I have a motion and a second.
Madam Chair, I call for a vote by hand.
Vote by hand. We're calling for a vote by hand, Madam Clerk. Okay. All in favor, raise your hand.
Right, look, Jack didn't specify which hand.
Okay. It's unanimous. Motion to approve 202011-MA-01 Glendon Forest Equity LLC. Okay.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
before we move along, can we take a 5-minute recess?
I sure can. We'll take a 5 minutes recess. Recess. Oh, Lord, I'm thirsty.
I've already finished it.
Get away from this one. Where is it?
Old business.
Old business? I don't see any. New business, the Economic Improvement Council Community Service Block Grant Fiscal Year 2021-22 application for funding. They sent this to us some time ago. It was supposed to have been a little earlier. I think it's due for us to sign. We've signed before county manager, I believe. They're asking for $334,000 as a block grant to add to their already grant that they have. I believe we had a presentation last year from Mr. Landon Mason.
Landon Director.
Right. So this is the application that they send in every year for us to sign, for they can send this block grant off. I think it's about 7 or 8 counties that they represent in this total package. They've had a public hearing. I saw that they took a screenshot of that when they had the meeting in Fort Gates County. I think Clytia Johnson attended that meeting on our behalf. I didn't have any reports of anything or any questions when I read through it, so I asked for the board for their pleasure.
I make a motion, we approve, sign it.
Second.
And a motion to approve in the second. Ready to vote, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion to sign this document, this grant, we'll take care of that county manager as soon as I can get around to it, probably tomorrow morning. Our favorite topic, the water bill discussion. Okay, commissioners, we know what we've had, a lot of public comments, email, phone calls. County manager has read them, you have received them, they're in your packet, some of them. So we are here tonight to resolve the immediate issue with the water bill. Something happened. So let's start the discussion and see what we can do to remedy this for the citizens that have been adversely affected by, in the last, 3-4 months, I think, when this started.
Yes.
I think, that's when I looked at the timeline. So let's start the discussion.
Madam Chair, if I may,
Yes, sir.
I was hoping you would say that. We've all got calls and emails, I'm assuming, about the water bills. And if you ever look at social media, you'll see that a lot of people are upset. Somebody asked me, when did this start? And I went back and looked, and COVID brain fog messes me up sometimes, but I knew we talked about it. And back on December 23rd, there was some emails that said, let's add it to the agenda. But as the chair stated in the email today, we're not going to look in the past, let's fix this. I've got a solution that I think would fix this, if the board would like to hear that, Madam Chair.
Yes, we would.
There was a lot of issues in December with mail being lost, not received, long delays. I think not just USPS, but FedEx and UPS. People are still having delays. So my opinion is that we refund all service fees for December. To take it a step further, we also don't charge any fees for January. Now, the December one should be no issues. Everybody's aware of postal issues, I hope. The January one is taking it a step further, Madam Chair and my fellow board members, because Postal Service still has a lag on it. So my opinion is actually, I have a two-part solution. The first solution and the now solution, which is the chair, what we're looking for, you stated, refund all service fees for December, as well as don't charge late fees or service fees for January. That's part one. And if anybody has any questions, I will entertain them. If not, I will continue to part two of my thinking.
I do have a question.
Okay.
For December, instead of, you said refund, would you consider to give them a credit so they wouldn't have to write all those checks?
But when I say refund, that means take it off the books.
Right, credit their account.
Credit their account, right. Not where you have to go in and cut a check or something.
That's what I was.
Yeah.
Point well made.
Yeah, yes, ma'am,
I
thank
agree
you.
with that.
And second part, if I may, Madam Chair? All right.
Yes, sir.
was doing some thinking, go figure. And last budget year, budget year, I think it was 19, Jack, there was, the LGC presented to us that there was a recommendation of a new finance position was needed. If y'all recall, $50,000. We didn't proceed with that due to funding. But I think that we tie that in to my second part. I think that we need to bring all the bills local. I think that we need to stop using Pennsylvania for the lockbox, I guess is what it's called, Madam County Manager. My second part of my recommendation is we bring all the bills local, and our former county commissioner, Henry Jordan, talked about this a while back, about employees being cross-trained, sort of dual roles. I don't remember the exact wording that he used, Jack, but I think it was cross-trained was one of the words. So I think that we can fix our water bill issues and our finance issues, fellow board members, by bringing all the bills local, where citizens mail them to Gatesville instead of Pennsylvania, ever how many states away that is, and use some of the advice that the late Commissioner Jordan talked about, and we hire another position where this position serves in a dual role, where 50% of their time is in customer service and 50% of their time is in finance. What that does is it solves our billing issue, and I don't know the exact dates of when all the bills come in, but that serves, the refunds, or the terminology Commissioner Hoffman stated, that solves the problem now. But going forward, we bring all the bills local, we put another local county person to work. I would think, and Jack, you've got years of personnel board experience, I don't know if this is even an option, but if we did this dual role where the person was cross-trained in customer service, water bills, and finance, I think accounts payable was one of the things that was needed. We were looking at $50,000 for that finance position the year before last. If we did this dual role as a full-time employee, it's another county employee, a person in the county, work with benefits. But my question would be, and I don't know this answer, that position would be paid for out of enterprise fund. The 50% of it would be paid out of enterprise fund. So, if we're talking $13,000, $14,000, $15,000 for an additional position, we're talking $14,000, $15,000 out of the general fund, but we've got the water problem solved, hopefully, and we've got the finance problem solved, and we didn't spend $50,000 for an extra full-time position for finance. We've saved $35,000 maybe.
Very well.
Go
Commissioner?
ahead.
Yes, sir. Madam Chairman, I was wondering if I could address Commissioner Jones and our commissioners, and maybe others remember. I brought that up to a former county manager who advised we could not do that. Do other commissioners remember that? Said that was impossible?
Well, that's why I'm going to speak. We have two positions to do. First is to resolve the issue of the current situation with the water bill. And your first proposal is, we can vote on that as far as, or add to it if anyone else has anything to add to Commissioner Jones' proposal. The second, or your phase two, is a longer issue that I had already decided or discussed within myself and just thought about, that we have had so many issues with the water department processes. I'm not disparaging the staff. I'm saying that we need to do a comprehensive review of the water department. I've already talked to the county manager about it, that we need to do from top to bottom, and everything from the policies that we have previously passed to the processes, including farming out or outsourcing, the proper term is outsourcing, that we do a comprehensive review of that and come back with a proposal that may include just what you said as far as funding a position to help out with customer service as well as finance. But the main issue right now is what are we going to do and how are we going to do it as far as resolve the issues with the current issue, and then do a comprehensive review of the water department, period. Everything from the meter readers to when you get the bill, when the bills are paid, the policies around that, because we have to make sure that we have the policies that wrap around those policies and those practices day to day, because we are doing customer service. So that is my position, that we resolve the immediate problem, and it's a problem, and so that the citizens have some relief of whatever happened. We're not going to solve what happened. A lot of things happen. That can be part of the review. What do we do in certain special circumstances? We don't have a policy for the staff to follow. The staff cannot go around and do some of the things they've asked us to do on the phone or email because of, I wanted just whatever. So my position, and we can discuss this, vote on it, or just table it, but we need to resolve this. Commissioner Jones has a proposal on the table to resolve it. You can add to it, have a discussion about it, or we can adopt it so we can move forward. We need to move forward on something immediately. This has been going on long enough, about 3-4 months. And then wrap around that a directive to the county manager to lead a committee, I don't know what you call a committee, ad hoc committee, to review the operations of the water department. That will mean that some of the commissioners around this table must serve. So we can look at the policies that we have, maybe need a new policy, maybe we need to stop something, I don't know. But we need a commissioner or two to serve on that committee. And I suggest Vice Chair Jack Owens serve on that committee to look at, everything, nothing's off the table, staffing, everything. From the time they get up in the morning and go read those meters or don't read the meters, and that the proposal I heard about, the radar meters or whatever those things are you were talking about, we need to look at this and bring that back, hopefully, in 30 days. Why 30 days? Because we're going to begin looking at the budget. So if we're going to do anything as far as personnel or spend taxpayers' money, we need to have that up front so we can bake that into whatever proposal or ordinance we have for budget. That's my position.
Madam Chair, I'd be glad to serve in that capacity. Thank you for asking, and I will. I would also like to ask if the board would agree to let Commissioner Jones be on that committee as well.
That's fine.
Commissioner Jones would agree to it.
Not with you, Commissioner Owens, I apologize.
Sure. Closer? Commissioner
Unless
Jones,
the
would
chair
you agree?
directs me to, then I will agree to it.
So what now?
No, nothing.
I know you, don't make me use this gavel, but I've had a suggestion from Commissioner Owens to include Commissioner Jones in the review. And does anybody else want to join in?
Well, Madam Chairman, I would like to make a comment to kind of follow up on what I said, because I didn't want Commissioner Jones to think otherwise. I think that is a grand idea to combine the two positions into one.
And the reason I brought that up, well, can we do the first thing first?
We need to do the first thing first.
I'd like to make a motion if I could,
Make a
Madam Chair.
motion.
All right, bear with me. Madam Chair, now, I'm going to make this motion, but we all know that this is being done at no fault of our own because of the Postal Service. This is a Postal Service issue. I don't want to disparage our customer service. I see Daphne in the back, and of course Diane and Afrika. It's nothing
Right,
against
that's what
them.
I said. It's not on the staff. The staff can only do what the policy and
That's right.
processes they put in writing.
And so my motion, Madam Chair and fellow board members, is that we refund all service fees for December, as well as we don't charge any fees for the month of January.
And that refund will be in form of a credit? Did I hear that would be in form of a credit?
Credit the accounts
Credit the account.
and no disconnects.
And
Dollar for dollar.
Versus a refund by check.
a check. Also, we're still in COVID times. We're not regulated by the State Utilities Commission, I don't think. But I think that it would be a good gesture to not have any disconnects in the next 60 days. Like Madam Chair likes to allude to, we don't know what's coming. But I think we can be proactive with this and to add to my motion that there be no disconnects for the next 2 months. Is that a good 2 months?
For
January and February.
January and February.
January,
Yes,
February.
ma'am. Then I'll start with that motion.
Okay, January, February 2022. I would like to add that we will always encourage citizens to pay their water bill if they can. Pay your water bill, pay it on time.
Be a good time, too, if I might add to your comment, it'd be a good time if you were struggling to pay it, you could use these 2 months for catch-up so that you could stay ahead and come your bill in March.
Also, let me get the motion on the table first before we can approve. Right. Read the motion back.
Read it verbatim like I said it for me.
So I'm hearing a motion to refund all service fees in the means of a credit on the account for December. Do not charge any fees for the month of January.
No late fees.
No late fees.
Yeah. We are going to charge for the water.
So no late fees for the month of January.
Now, that was not my motion, Linda. You're changing my motion. I'm just messing.
Go ahead. You get the last part about no disconnection?
Disconnects for January or February.
Okay,
That was exactly my motion.
okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion, Madam Chairman.
You've heard the motion in a second. All in favor, aye.
Excuse me, I need to call for
Call-
discussion.
Call for discussion.
When you get these phone calls, you get these visits, you have to defend everyone. I had a gentleman who has never been late. We all know the gentleman. He's never been late. His issue happened with his October bill. COVID's been going on since late February, early March. And I'm not saying let's go back and add October, but my constituent's going to say, did Jack tell him what my case was? His issue was in October, and I'm not saying it's COVID, I'm saying the early balloting was started going in very vigorously in October. And he's the only person, I had several to call me, but he's the only one that had an October issue. And, so he should have the grace. And I will say that the gentleman went ahead and paid his bill. He called me and I encouraged him to go ahead and pay his bill. Of course, it was already passed. He said, I did. So here we are, and we're not supposed to make isolated cases for exceptions for individuals. We make them for the whole. So I'm not trying to add to Jonathan's thing. I don't, it's the only complaint I had in October.
Any more discussion? Okay, the motion's still on the floor. Ready to vote?
Ready?
Ready to vote. All in favor of, read the motion, Madam Clerk, read the motion, please.
Motion to refund all service fees in the means of a credit on the account for December. No charge of late fees for the month of January or any disconnects for January or February.
Is that what?
Did you hear it correctly?
Say it again. I was trying to read my scribble scrabble.
Motion to refund all service fees in the means of a credit on the account for December. Is it something December and January? Okay, just December.
December.
And do not charge any late fees for the month of January.
So, yeah, I had late fees and service fees.
There's two different.
It was two different ones, yeah.
And disconnects.
Yeah, and then disconnects was at the end.
I got sidetracked when this conflict corrected me. All right, but any
Blame me.
service or late fees,
I just don't want out there to throw the gavel at me, so please.
do not charge any service or late fees for the month of January, no disconnects for January or February.
But we can't charge fees in February. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think the postal service is going to be, yeah.
But we just want.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
I think there is currently an investigation going on with the United States Postal Service.
Well, we don't need to go down that bunny trail.
But I mean, not.
No, I know, just to stay to the motion.
Linda wants to serve on that committee, Madam Chair.
No.
No, well, there's a motion on the, you've heard the motion. Ready to vote?
Yes, ma'am.
All in favor? Let's raise hands. Then everybody know. All in favor? Okay. Motion carried unanimously.
I raised two hands, Madam Chair. Does that still?
You surrender. So what I was going to say to the county manager, that we need to make sure communication goes out about what we just passed. Whatever way we can, get it out to the citizens. Everybody's not watching tonight. They need to know what we've just done as soon as possible. It needs to be in the paper next week. Probably too late this week, but get it in the newspaper, get it on the website very prominently, so that everybody sees. All they got to do is log in, and there it is.
Red bar under.
Red bar. Yeah, I'm serious. Get her done, so that they know that we have heard them and we have resolved this. And the broader communication is that we're going to do a comprehensive review of the water department, from policy to practice to procedures. Okay?
And part of that is we're going to look at
All of it.
all the whole.
All of it.
Oh, customer service and utilities.
Yes, all of it. We want to do a comprehensive, because we're going into a budget season, and anything that affects the budget, we need to know up front. But we need to understand that we need to attack this from the position that we don't want to be back here again. We need some protocols in place for special situations, so that we don't have to sit here and discuss it. The staff will know what to do. And to do that, we need to work together, and it's no disparaging on the staff, it's just what happened, okay?
Yeah, because there's a lot of misinformation out there.
And y'all served on the is that thing I threw out, I haven't been on the personnel board before, so is that even feasible, Linda, Jack?
Everything's feasible.
Well, I know, I think they're cross-trained already, because I think Ms. Walker has worked in the finance office, have you
Well,
not?
we're talking about a position that's targeted just for
So,
that.
Okay, I didn't know,
It's fine.
Cross-training is different than.
We'll do it.
I think before, Madam Chairman,
Get her up.
if I'm not mistaken, that the former county manager, there
I know,
was
I think they're
a
cross-trained
cross between
already,
using
because
the
I
enterprise
think
fund.
Ms. Walker
We will
works,
discuss that
has
asset
worked in
committee
the
and put
finance
together, and
office,
they'll figure that out. All of that's.
well, we're talking about a
Jack, who's
position
on the committee,
that's
Jack,
targeted
and
just for
whoever he
that.
has friends left with,
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
and Diane.
it's
We
fine.
will make sure that the comprehensive is
We'll
very
do it.
comprehensive.
I
Every
think
question that
before,
could
Madam
be
Chairman,
answered,
get her up.
me ask,
If
and
I'm not
I encourage
mistaken,
the other commissioners that are
the
not on the
former
committee
county
to send
manager.
your questions or concerns to Commissioner Jones or the county manager.
And we're gonna start meeting tonight at 10 o'clock, our first meeting, Jack.
All right, the next agenda item is the urgent repair program grant, and Ms. Green Hollis on Zoom looking at us, and she's ready to give us a brief synopsis of this grant opportunity that we have that she's been working on. The grant is due on Monday, the 25th. So welcome, Ms. Green Hollis. And she's here. She's gonna unmute herself. Good evening.
Good afternoon or good evening. Before I start, I'm getting feedback from you all with
hear
2
you.
or 3 conversations in delayed mode.
Okay, hold on.
Good evening. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Nice seeing you.
Don't fall, Earl. On the way out.
Oh, now we done lost her.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Here we go.
Can you hear us, Reva?
We'll move to the next one, or move to the next one.
I can hear you,
Reed, look,
but can you
if we ask her if she could do a
hear
famous
me?
split, she probably hear us and do it.
I'm getting multiple feedback of shrill noise and multiple voices.
Turn down your, can somebody call her?
Can you hear us? Raise your thumb.
Everybody else, is anybody talking to Reba? Go ahead.
Hey, Melissa.
Calling somebody.
Hey, I'm getting shrill noises, and then when you all are talking, it's like delayed 3 times, so I'm getting the conversation 3 times back to me. No, but it's down, but it's still a shrill sound, and when you all talk, it gets delayed like 3 times, so I'm hearing it repeated 3 times.
I can take some more medicine, I'm good. So you can go to the emergency room. You can do it at the emergency room, so you can have your back working. If Sue Roundtree's gonna get some chicken salad.
Okay, with the same link? Okay, because it was fine until you all asked for me to come on. So disconnect me and let me start over. All right.
She's hearing us like 3 times.
Echo.
And I'm getting people blowing up from YouTube saying that they're hearing her volume.
Okay.
Can we move to the next one and come back to her?
Okay, the next one, while we're working on our technology, is the broadband strategic plan. I put that here because I sent you 2 documents. I sent it again this morning about the free development of a strategic plan for broadband. I mentioned it before. Well, Mr. Burke called. He's willing to come to our next meeting on Zoom and just briefly talk about it. So I put it on the agenda so that we can get that arranged through the county clerk and the county manager, so he can, if we ever get Zoom right, to present what the feasibility study is going to look like, because it's time for him to start in March, and so I want to get him in here. So that's the only reason that's on the agenda, so we bring it back to our memory, and so that we can get him scheduled, if it's agreeable with the board, so that he can speak to us
February?
about 10 minutes. February. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He said it takes 10 minutes unless y'all have a lot of questions, because he sent me everything. He also sent me a draft memorandum of understanding that he has with ECSU, because they're going to assist with this opportunity. So I'll bring that the next time, so I'll email it to you so you can see that in case I haven't. I talked to him yesterday.
You said 10 minutes unless you have a lot of questions.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
I just want to do things right. I just
Okay.
want
So
to make
that's-
sure he's
So we're
invited.
expecting to see him in February.
February. Briefly. And while we're waiting on Reba to let us know what her, the opportunity we have, I put that in email this morning as well, but I will briefly go over that in case we lose her. Roanoke Electric Development Incorporated and the Roanoke Center submitted an application for Gates County for $100,000, and this is for repair of existing houses. I encouraged the Housing Committee that they did not have enough money to do what they were charged to do, so they went out to look for grants. And this is a grant that we applied for it last year with looking at history, and we were not funded. It was called the 2019 grant. They send it every year. So put the RFP out there. So she saw it this year, late December, I think. And so I told her, go on and start working on it. Melissa has helped her with looking at last year's grant. So we had the numbers, updated the numbers so we could get it quickly because it's due Monday. So that's why I wanted her to present the funding opportunity. We could repair 10 houses because each house is a limit of $10,000. So that's a good thing. And the outreach would be done in conjunction or collaboration with the Housing Committee. So it's on the Housing Committee's agenda for Monday at 1 o'clock. So they'll know that we are trying to get more money into the county to help with repair of houses. We do not have enough money to repair houses. We just don't. And I think we give them, what, 6,000 or 5,000 a year from the county?
Maybe 5.
5,000. And so we were looking for grants, and we're going to continue to look for grants because we have a lot of houses that need repair. And it's getting worse with Northeast North Carolina and all these hurricanes and everything else. The Gates County Housing Committee will also do the outreach and the marketing and accept the application and work with the county manager and feeding those to whatever database we need to feed them to and follow the guidelines of the grant application. So that's a synopsis of what Reba was supposed to be sharing with us. I wanted her to speak to us so you could ask questions in case you had any.
Do we know what the likelihood of us making contact with her?
It don't look good.
I make a motion, we agree with what Reba has to say and move on to commissioner comments.
Well, I've said what Reba's going to say. I don't know what else she might have to add to it, but it might be something, but I can bring that back or send it to you. So let's move on to commissioner comments. Commissioner Freeman, would you like to start? If I see her pop up, we'll stop.
I'll be happy to, Madam Chairman, if you'd wish. First of all, I certainly want to thank all the folks that, all of our constituents and citizens that called in regard to the water bill. Many of you called me from Ewell, from Gatesville, and from Hobbsville. Got none from Gates and Sunbury complaining about the water bills. I asked them why they didn't call their commissioners. They told me, and I received that information. Want to report that from COVID, confirmed cases in Gates County are 481. So from September, we went from about 24 to 481 confirmed cases as of today. Just to give you an idea, Paquimans County has 694. Hertford County has 1,677. So they're the counties we travel to and our citizens travel to, so be aware and take those precautions. As you see, when we receive the information we do and we subsequently look at it as your commissioners, my thoughts are, and each one of us have our separate thoughts on looking at something, or regulate, and over-regulate. I am not in favor of that, have not been. It's just like not raising taxes. I'm not in favor of raising taxes. So I see in cases of regulation, it's going to cause more expenses, more employees, and what have you, and eventually some type of enforcement when we over-regulate. So sometimes we disagree to agree. That's where we are. So thank you for attending. Thank you for being our citizens, and we appreciate being your commissioners.
Thank you, Commissioner Hoffler.
Thank you for all of showing up tonight and voicing your opinions or contacting us by phone or emails. Certainly, we do listen to our constituents and try to come up with best. As I said, there's a lot of misinformation out there. Hopefully, we can correct that with this comprehensive study that's going to be done about the water bill. And I would just say that we can agree to disagree in a civil manner. And also, when we're, people are frustrated, I know, when they get these bills. But as a public servant, they can only sit there and smile or keep a straight face. It's beyond their control. And so I think we need to make sure that we remember that's a person too, and that we treat them with respect. They're just trying to do their job.
Thank you.
So we appreciate them.
Thank you, Commissioner Hoffler. Commissioner Jones? Commissioner Jones, your comment?
No comment. Thank you all the citizens for reaching out. I'm gonna speak fast so we don't have to listen to Reba. Love you, Reba. Keep reaching out. Look forward to working with Commissioner Owens and whoever else he decides to be on the committee to nail down the water bills and look at some options. And one thing I did forget tonight, one citizen reached out and wanted to know if we could make the drop-off box. Jack, Linda, before my time, was the drop-off box in that little grassy area, the grassy knoll, between the parking lot and Gatesville Baptist at some point, and it got hit or something?
Yes.
Okay, somebody asked me about that, and I forgot about that, but we'll look into that. But thank you for the citizens for reaching out. Come tonight, and I'm out.
Vice Chair Owens?
Thank you, citizens, for your emails and phone calls, and thank you for your attendance here tonight. We hope that what we have already done tonight, voted on, concerning the dilemma with the service fees and penalties with the water bill, we hope that you find that helpful to you, and hope that you see that we can make changes. We don't always have to go by the current rules when we have unusual circumstances such as what occurred with these bills. So thank you for your patience, and anyway, thank you for your support going forward.
I would just like to thank everyone that attended this meeting in person and those on electronic devices. We are very appreciative that you take the time to not only contact us when you have comments or concerns. We welcome that, and we are very grateful for that. Stay safe with your vaccinations. Please get your vaccinations. We're also trying out new technology. We have a new audio system in this courthouse, and that's one of the things when you order something new, you have to work out the kinks. This is the first meeting we've used it, so we've had some technology gremlins all over it, and we will work that out. We apologize for that, but this is a new system, and we had this system so that we could better interact with you. You could see us better, hear us better, and it's going to get better. And I want to thank the clerk to the board and Warren Curry over there for working with the vendors to get this in and everything, and the county manager and all of those who had a part in it, so that we can share this with the citizens of Gates County when they want to have a meeting. They have a place that they have a screen, they have all the technology they need if they need to use this for a meeting. I want you to understand that we're going to continue to work together. We're not a team of rivals. We are not a team of rivals. And I want them to understand that just because somebody doesn't vote for something, that doesn't mean anything. That's their vote, that's their posture, and we welcome that. If everybody voted the same, we wouldn't need all of us. So we do need a team effect so that we can have everybody's voice heard. And I thank you again for what you do. Madam Clerk, you have something to say?
We got Miss Holly back, but now she's not getting our sound, even though she was getting it before. So we're gonna speak her phone.
Okay.
Reba, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
All right, good evening. I see I'm your guinea pig for your new technology. I listened to you all the way up till it was time to introduce me, and then all of a sudden I got shrill feedback and delayed conversation, so it was like you all were having 3 different conversations in the room that I heard, but you couldn't hear me. But good evening, and I want to share with you the upgrade, not the upgrade, but the urgent repair program 21 that the North Carolina Housing Finance Agency has put out for small home repair funds that are available to certain counties. And this year, Gates County was one of the counties that was eligible to apply. We have gotten those funds before in previous years. I don't know when the last time you received them. And in past years, the Housing Committee had applied for them through the county. This year, Roanoke Electric, Roanoke Economic Development, the nonprofit arm of Roanoke Electric, is applying for the grant for Gates County, and they will administer the grant and do the work, and they will work with Gates County Housing with marketing the program And Gates County Housing will also take any applications if the person interested feels like they want to drop it off with us, or they can apply directly with Roanoke Electric. The program allows for $100,000 for one county and up to $10,000 per small home repair household. So at a max, at a maximum repair job at $10,000, we could service 10 homes. But if the homes take less than that, then of course we would have some additional money that could be used towards another home. The guidelines for people eligible for these funds are one or more full-time household members with special needs, which includes elderly, disabled, and or veteran full-time household members.
Oh, that was my phone battery. That was my phone battery that went dead.
Well,
Madam Chair.
the gremlins have struck again, so I think we'll get, we've heard, let her know we appreciate it when you get a battery. And I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion for adjournment. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so moved.
And we're gonna move right along in our ad hoc committee.